here and worked for my principal, Elizabeth Moyer.
I applied for a job at a school here that was called Colombo International School. And I'd always wanted to go to Colombia in South America. And so I applied thinking I was going to South America. And then when I turned up for the interview, I realized very quickly I was going to be going to Sri Lanka instead. So I came here and my husband was teaching at the school.
I was the first sports teacher for that school when it first started. And then Ellie joined as an English teacher. And then we met here. We fell in love, and then we had a plan. Then I needed to finish my education, so we went to the UK, and we remained there for about 16 years.
And then we've been together ever since.
So which one of you all made the first move to ask someone out, or was it like a mutual thing?
Well, obviously my husband. Yeah.
I sort of did, but there was a confusion with because Ellie knew I was interested, and then she came and invited me for tea. She said, "Come for tea." So I went to her place, and she said to come at 7:00, which is weird for tea. So I went for tea, but she was cooking, and I thought, "Oh, great! I've been upgraded from tea to dinner." But I realized in Yorkshire, you say tea for dinner. So she already invited me for dinner, but I thought I was going to get a cup of tea. And then, so I showed the interest, but she made the first move.
The whole reason we moved here is because we've got 2 boys. We wanted both boys to be brought up in Sri Lanka. So when we moved here, I was teaching full time, but Johan wasn't, because the focus was the kids and him spending time with them. And very quickly he got bored. He was wanting to be a radiotherapist because he's a trained cancer radiotherapist, which in England is a big deal. You need a degree for it. It's a very highly specialized job. But here it wasn't quite the same. And the money that he would have earned here wouldn't have been worth it. We would have had to then employ somebody to look after the children, and that wasn't why we wanted to come here. So he was getting a little bit bored. And then one day we invited some friends over for dinner, and they liked the puddings that I'd made. And they said, there's nothing like this in Sri Lanka at the moment. I mean, in Sri Lanka, I think at the time had, sort of Fab, Divine, obviously Pereira and Sons. And what's the really nice place that I like on duplication? Sponge. They had Sponge. But they all served a particular market. And there's lots of icing, and I'm not really a big icing sort of sweet person. So they said, there's this thing starting up called the Good Market, which was, I think they came round on the Friday, and then we went to the Good Market on Saturday, and we had a look round and spoke to the organisers and said, if we did some homemade cakes and desserts, do you think we'd be able to sell them here? No artificial colours, flavour, all that sort of stuff. And they said, yeah, give it a go. So then we went the next Saturday. And I think the next Saturday we sold most of the things, but not quite. And the Saturday after that, we sold everything, because the word had got around that there was something a little bit different. And then it went from there.
So it was my job became to build that as a business, while my wife's job became to build the recipes and the cakes. And it took a while because it was very hard to find really good ingredients and source them from Sri Lanka. So we were looking for the best ingredients.
So I think we'd probably been selling things at the Good Market for about 6 months. And there was another couple at the Good Market as well, sort of an American Sri Lankan couple, Shari, who was Sri Lankan, and her husband, who was American. And they did something called Panino, which is still going. I think they've got an outlet still in Cotton Collection. And they sold amazing paninis, really, really nice. And they said to us, well, I think it's like a joint discussion between my husband and them. We're thinking about opening a shop. Should we do something together? We thought it would be the perfect combination of sort of sandwiches and cakes. We both really liked each other's stuff. It was low risk, obviously, because then there was 2 people being responsible. So we decided, I think maybe in the July, so I say about 6 or 7 months after we started, to open the first outlet at Suleiman Terrace. And it was really successful.
Then we had the two kids going to school. So we had to look after, pick them up, drop them. But also Ellie also worked at the school. But she also needed to train all the staff, the baking staff. Then I needed to be in the front doing the customer services. So I think we couldn't. Some days we could do it together, but some days we just she would come in the morning at 6 when she goes to school. I come back. So that was a routine for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, looking back now, I don't really know how we did it because it was absolutely horrible. Because I was getting up at 5 to be here for 6, and then at 7:45, I'd then have to go to school. I'd teach a full day. I'd come back here at 3:30, and then I'd probably work until 8 or something like that, or 9, and then I'd go home, and then Johan would come and sort of take over and close. So it was, and this is weekends as well. This is 7 days a week. So it was really, really tough. And now, we're very fortunate that we're not working quite so hard, but it was really difficult.
I think it's it got us to this time where we can spend most of our time together as a family. So
I think I think I said before that the reason we moved to Sri Lanka was because we wanted to spend time with our children, and we didn't want to, if we were in England, both of us would have to work full time. And that means that, the boys would, we'd drop them at school, but then it would be difficult for us to see them after school and so on. So the way we did it always meant that one of us was always with the boys. I suppose it's a little bit strange. We never anticipated that it could sort of grow this much. And I think, with Sri Lanka, there's so many opportunities, and we've just been really lucky to be able to take advantage of some of those. So I think one of the big things for us is when the One Gall Face Mall was sort of at the inception of that, and they contacted us and said, would you like to have something? Because they were wanting to have this blend of international sort of high-end sort of shops and local shops as well. And obviously they wanted to include local people in the food area. So, if you go to the food area at One Gall Face, there's, Baskin & Robbins and Subway and Deli France and obviously I think Burger King, things like that. But they also wanted some homegrown people, which was really nice. So I think that was our first sort of thought that we might be able to have something else. And we thought it was a good opportunity to open something at a mall that was clearly going to be amazing, the best one that Sri Lanka had experienced up to that point. So we signed up with them. And then I think probably just because of that, because we still do all the baking here at we moved the Suleiman Terrace address to here at Chitra Lane. But because we do all the baking here, it's not actually that difficult for us just to ramp up the baking and then deliver to a range of outlets, because we're not worrying about the quality, because the quality is all in one place. I think if we were baking at different outlets, that would be much more of a headache.
So currently we have 4 outlets, 3 in Colombo, 2 at the shopping malls, Havelock City Mall and One Gall Face Mall, and 1 in Gulford. We are very cautious about expanding because we always want to keep the quality of our products. That was our main goal, because we know from looking at other businesses that people try to do the same product with less quality products, less quality ingredients, and try and increase the prices. So we were very conscious about that. So that was my duty to make sure we get the best products but give the best price as well. So when we first started the main outlet at Suleiman Terrace, for 4 years, we've been concentrating on trying to maintain the quality, which was the hardest part, because the bigger you grow, the more mistake people can make. So when Ellie and I used to do it, we hardly made any mistakes. Everything was perfect. But then you start with 2 bakers, then 4, 6, and each person can make a mistake. So, and we had to have systems in place to make sure the quality is perfect and is fresh every day. So once we were so happy about that, then we signed up for Havelock City Mall, One Gall Face Mall. Then we started that. That was a big step for us as well, because we produce everything in one place, transport. We didn't know whether we could sustain 2 outlets for Colombo. We didn't know whether Colombo has the capacity as our customers to come in. But yeah, we found out it was a success. Then Havelock City Mall came and asked us, so we opened one there as well. But Galle was a different different kettle of fish because it's far away. We couldn't have bakers making things there because there's no way of checking quality. Main thing is Ellie checks the quality almost every day, and I check as well. We have head bakers checking quality every day. But Gaul, if he'd made there, we knew we would have to travel a lot or get lots of complaints. So we make everything here, and we transport every 2 days there, which has been a challenge. But I think we've been doing it for now about 4 or 5 months, and we got into a nice routine and rhythm. So we've been asked to open in Hiriketiya because it's just so we are looking into expanding further down south as well.
So the cakes that we have here, I suppose I'm a little bit of a dictator with the cakes. We basically don't make anything that I don't like. So for example, brownies traditionally have nuts in. Well, I don't like nuts in stuff. So our brownies don't have nuts. The only thing I think that we have is nuts, that we always have, is the carrot cake, because you sort of need to have nuts in a carrot cake. But the rest of it is pretty much everything I like. So, and hopefully people like it as well. So the focus is very much on, I want things to taste like they're homemade. I mean, they are homemade here, even if they're not homemade by somebody alone in their kitchen. So the emphasis is always on the ingredients. So we do use genuine butter. We don't use sort of, vegetable oil, margarine stuff. We use proper cream, not that, again, sort of vegetable fats, whipped cream topping stuff. Proper lemons, proper orange, all that. We use very natural ingredients. And we have, I think it's over 40 things that we sell. And we don't always have them available in the shop, but they're available to order. But even in the shop, we probably have 25 to 30 different items at any given time. So that's, sort of cakes, tarts, cheesecakes, roulades, things we call squares, which are like caramel shortbread or mint chocolate squares or lemon bars. And we started doing drinks and savouries as well. But my passion is definitely the cakes.
I think working together was quite difficult as well because we've never worked together apart from when we first met. But we were in different departments at the school. But if she was my boss, I would have quit. Oh, I'm sure she would have quit if I was. But luckily, we had two different skill sets. Ellie was in charge of the recipes, the ingredients, and I won't question it. I won't say no, this is not right. And if it's a financial thing, we would discuss together, saying, okay, we need to invest on this. And sometimes I think we both don't take risks. I take risks slightly more than Ellie does. So there's a friction there, and we say, okay, I'm convinced this investment is good, and she's like, are you sure? But luckily, we because we did the tag team, we weren't working together at the same time. So I think that was best.
I think before we opened the shop, we'd already been married 15 years. A long time. We'd been together for a very long time. And, in any relationship, you sort of go into different roles, don't you? They're sort of hopefully complementary roles. So I think that worked out with the shop as well, that, the kitchen was absolutely what I was in control of, and everything else Johan did. And, and I'm rubbish at all the things that he's good at, and he's often not so good at the things which I'm good at as well. So I think we complement each other that way. And also, during the first 4 years, which I suppose is the time when it could have been most difficult for us as a couple, we were both so knackered that we didn't have time to talk to each other, let alone fight. Well, very early on, Johan made this good contact with the Prima Baking School, and we've been lucky to be able to get people from the school and also people from experience ever since the inception. So in some ways, it's been easy that way because they've already been trained. All the bakers are trained. They've all got a qualification. And then it's just really teaching them the recipes and sort of doing things in a slightly different way. I think a lot of bakers in Sri Lanka, they go through Prima or very similar schools. So they have for example, a cheesecake here. Regardless of whether you go to like a bakery, or whether you go to one of the 5-star hotels. The cheesecake, it isn't cheesecake as I'd know it. It's it's got gelatine in it. It's like a sort of a spongy blancmange type thing, and often with a cake base. So initially it was a little bit difficult because they had expectations about what a cheesecake was, which were different to mine. But I think now, as I said, we've been very lucky. A lot of our staff that we have now have been with us for a very long time. But equally, I think employment is difficult because obviously so many people in Sri Lanka want to leave Sri Lanka, which is really sad. And I understand why they would want to leave with all the crises that have been happening. So that's been difficult for us. So in some ways we've been lucky because when we've had staff, they've stayed with us. They haven't gone anywhere else. But then we have lost a lot of staff to go abroad. But I understand that. I mean, that's just the nature of things.
I think in Sri Lanka, people use baking as a stepping stone to get out of Sri Lanka to other hotels outside of Sri Lanka. So we had that. We had lots of people joining because it's a good experience for them. And we have unique recipes. We have so many unique recipes that's only we have because we've come up with the idea of it. So, and they learn something as well. So it's a good stepping stone for them. But like Ali said, we've been lucky with quite a few staff who's been staying with us for such a long time.
Yeah. And we've even had staff who've gone abroad and then have come back and have contacted us straight away saying, I want to come back to work from you, which is really nice. And obviously great for us because it means we get people we know.
When we get new sets of staff, it's difficult because we need to train all that, and then we make, obviously we make mistakes. And it's been difficult with the customers because let's say we had 1,000 customers and 999 would be happy, but they won't place a review on Google because they're happy. There's nothing to complain. But that 1%, you make a mistake and they put reviews. And we've had some periods where because of the new training, we did one after another, and then we keep telling ourselves we're not that bad. We're actually really good. We keep good quality, but it gets a bit depressing. It had a few times.
I think, yeah. I mean, for me, yeah, definitely. It is. Sometimes it's very difficult. I think all restaurants, all sort of like service providers go through this, don't they? Where, and as like somebody who is a consumer as well, you can understand it when people get frustrated. But we always try to make ourselves really accessible. Johan's personal number is on all our publicity, is on the boxes, is on everything. So if people are unhappy, what we really want is for people just to call him and say, this is dreadful. Why has this happened? Blah, 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 blah. But people are very quick now just to put reviews on. And it's often things like, we've been a customer there for 10 years, always loved their cakes, but I will now never go back because of this one single experience. And you think, well, why don't you tell us about it? And also then, obviously people tell us, then we can apologize and we can rectify it, but also we can try and make sure that it doesn't happen again. But I think also the COVID, when COVID first started, we were really worried. We thought, because obviously we're dependent on the business financially. So if we'd lost it during COVID, that would have been very scary. And lots of other businesses were obviously struggling. But that actually worked. It worked out quite well for us in the end because we had a very, very small amount of staff on site for quite a long time. I was able to come in as well. So it was me and maybe 2 other bakers. We did basically to order. And so everything, people said that they wanted stuff. We made it for that purpose and it went. So it was very sort of straightforward and very easy. And because I was there, I was confident that it was all going well. So, and then Johan would do all the deliveries, driving around till midnight with like 20 different boxes all over like this.
And that was actually a positive thing for us. Well, when COVID was a really bad time for everyone, but we were shut for the first month, not knowing when to open. And when we started opening, the amount of positive feedback and happiness that we opened from customers, what we got, oh great, you guys have opened, at least we are happy to get your stuff stuck at home. That sort of built us the confidence to carry on. There are times we get the thing, get like reviews and stuff, we think, okay, should we carry on like this? Or when we get good feedback from customers again, then we think, oh yeah, we are still loved in Colombo.
Who cares about the cakes?
It's about, I don't know, 25 years ago, more. Yeah, and I was amazed by her cooking skills and her cakes because, it was very unique at the time.
I bake every weekend for my children, so they've got a couple of nice sweet things to put in their lunch boxes when they go to school. I could just get it from here, but I don't. I always bake it myself because I like that process. But cooking, neither of us really likes. I think we used to, didn't we?
Once we get into it, we enjoy. We like to make different things.
Yeah, but we're very lucky. We've got these amazing friends who cook. So they often do the cooking at weekends, and we just reap the benefits of our friendship.
Right.
Yeah, but generally,
You guys both have a pretty strong sweet tooth.
less, I think, now.
It was weird when we were working the first 3 years. Sometimes we forget to eat because when you're working with food, your body thinks you're full, and we go home and think, oh, I haven't eaten anything today. So it's the same thing with the sweetness, I think. Yeah, when we didn't have this, we used to make puddings and stuff almost every week. And now only if we have a dinner party or we go somewhere, Ellie would make something.
Yeah, and also, we're getting on a bit now. So now we're sort of thinking cholesterol, diabetes. We need to. So, before I'd have a full piece of cake, and now I'm having like a bite or a couple of bites if I'm feeling really greedy.
Liver.
Yeah. Or I might do the typical thing and start off with a sliver, then just go back for a second because it's still really small. So I suppose if we were going to offer advice, I don't think we are in a position to offer advice, but to anybody who's thinking of starting something, I suppose the main thing is do what you really believe in. Particularly early days, we had loads of people coming to us and saying, do you sell love cake? Do you sell butter cake? Do you sell ribbon cake? And we were sort of thinking, oh, should we be doing that? Should we be doing that? And of course, ribbon cake's got colours in, and we don't do colours. Love cake has got nuts in, and I've already said I'm not keen on nuts. So
Something you don't know.
and it's also something I don't know. Yeah. So we sort of resisted all that, and we thought, are we doing the wrong thing? Maybe we'd be able to like broaden the market, broaden the customer base if we had those, but we didn't, and we've still managed to survive. So I think it's sort of having the belief that what you're selling is a good product and it's something that you enjoy as well.
And I think another main thing is know every bit of the business. Between the two of us, if we get rid of all the staff, we'll struggle, but we can carry on with the business. Ellie knows all the recipes. It's her recipes. She can't, no one can. We don't need to ask anyone. She'll know all the recipe side. I know all the businesses. I know all the suppliers. I know where to get stuff. So know every single bit of your business, because sometimes people go into a business and expect someone else to bring in some expertise who has no interest in the business apart from to just make money. That's it. So I think we are lucky like that. We didn't partner up with anyone that we didn't know. We don't tend to partner up because it's difficult to work with some people you don't really know. I miss the patients, treating the patients, and you feel good at the end of the day. But apart from the first 4 years of this business, which was the worst time for us as a family because we both worked, and my wife also was a head of English, so she was almost doing 2 jobs. Apart from that, we got into a place now we are able to spend a lot of time with our kids. And that's the main thing. And if you go back full time to another job, we won't be able to spend time with our kids. We spend a lot of time with our kids, and it's so important to us. That's the main reason we moved to Sri Lanka, because we want them to have a nice family life, and we are able to be part of their life as well. Sometimes, our products are known, but sometimes we are known with the products as well. You go to dinner party, and then if someone says, "Oh, these guys own an English cake company," and everyone will say, "Oh, yeah, we buy your products all the time. It's so amazing," and it becomes like a conversation piece. And we don't go to many dinner parties. That's not only with people we
Don't
know.
give the impression we
Yeah, we don't
go
yeah.
to life.
But whenever we do, it's a shock to know that actually we are quite popular. People love our products, and also they have a quite high expectations. Our next small step is we want to have a little restaurant here with our own creation, and that as well. I think people want high quality food, something different, not the same thing what you can get anywhere else. So it's a nice feeling when people expect high quality but something different from us.